Well, hello everybody. My name is Jason DeCosta. Thank you for joining me and welcome to my show today. If you were wondering what all the huffing and puffing and foot stomping was in the background there during my intro music, well, it was a 70-pound ham named Debo, who is just a brute beast and who I've allowed into my office today because I'm not going to be doing a teaching. I'm just here to give everybody a quick update and say hi. So Debo comes trudging in like he owns the place, and now he's sitting outside the office door, sort of guarding me. Funny character. Anyways, just checking in, everybody. Today I'm just doing a little recap here of what's going on and what's to come and all of that. I hope everybody is well out there. Lately I got a few people over the last week who've asked about when I'm going to be producing more audios and sharing them on YouTube. So I figured it was worth, doing a quick little update here on my YouTube channel for those who may be wondering. Lately, it's just been super busy, super busy, like I'm sure everybody has been. This thing called life just really sometimes picks up speed, and then you try to slow it down. But so far, everything's good, nothing to complain about, but work trips have just been nonstop, one after the other. This is sort of my busy season for my job, so that's been, work trips and commitments in that regard have really been keeping me booked and my mind occupied. Also, just kind of enjoying life a little bit too, now that spring is here, summer's closing in, and the weather's getting nice. I've had a vacation to Greece recently, which I've talked about here in the past. That was great. And I'm actually going to Hawaii in about 9 days. So there's a 3-day conference there, but I'm extending it out to about an 8-day trip. And gonna take my girl and her mom, well, they're tagging along, and I'm gonna show them the island. And Cece has been with me once before, but her mother, Rosa, has never been to Hawaii, so this should be very fun. Gonna show her all the spots, take her snorkeling, beach time, the whole nine. So that should be a good time. And in other news, I laid seed in my yard. I bought a new house in November, well, 2-family, and the backyard needed some work, so I threw a fence around it, and pretty big yard, which I didn't realize until I started laying out the fencing. But laid seed in it, basically been watering that sucker day and night, multiple times per day, and just staying on it so it grows. So that's also chewed up a bunch of my time. No longer do I have those extra 30 to 45 minutes in the morning, or when I come home from work, I'm out there watering and adjusting sprinklers, and it's fun, but it's time consuming. Basically like anybody else, I go through ups and downs in terms of desire to study and desire to get my nose in the book. But it comes and goes. It always has for me. One guy actually reached out to me saying that he was eventually going to sort of slowly back away from all the arguments and bickering on Facebook and in the groups and just enjoy his life. He's said he's so, thoroughly convinced that IO is the proper interpretation and that this story never pertained to anybody beyond them, that he's not so much giving up, because like me, he's got a passion for the Bible, but just, enjoying his life. The guy's probably in his mid to late 40s. He's got a wife, he's got children. And, hey, this life is good, and God's given us a good life, so we might as well enjoy it too. But, he just wasn't going to be sucked in by, all the bickering and all the religiosity, if that's even a word. And I can relate to that. I too have been fully convinced. And there hasn't been a single argument that's even caused me to think twice. So, I often think of that too, like, should I just put it down for good and just enjoy the life God's given me? But I do have that desire to get to the bottom of many little questions that I have internally that I need to work out for myself as a somewhat perfectionist, I guess. So I'm sure I will be back very soon, but I'm sure I'll do more at some point in the near future. They may be just random ones here and there in terms of the audios I share. Who knows? I did 50 plus videos in a matter of 3 months. Some as short as 20 minutes, some as long as 2 hours and 40 minutes. And, it's a good amount. And so a little break here and there is warranted. And I don't feel like I should be, sharing things if my mind is not completely focused and in it. So we have those peaks and valleys, but all is good in that regard. In other news, in the world of IO coming out of the closet, people are actually admitting and coming out of the woodwork here. I had a lady that I mentioned to you guys, I don't know, a few weeks back, 3, 4, 5 weeks ago, who had said she was 98% convinced of IO, but still had a couple things. And she asked me to do that video on 1 John chapter 2, verse 2, which says he died not only for our sins, but the sins of the whole world, which I did that video, that audio, and she listened to it. Well, she's basically been emailing and, interacting with me, and now she says it's undeniable. And, how can anyone deny this? So that's good. She, has seen the truth there. Another guy emailed me. I'm not going to mention his name, but he claims that he's been in IO for many years, decades even, and he's known the Bible was all about Israel. But he's, got a lot of questions, but he appreciated my channel and came across some of my work and was pretty pumped about it. And, and he says he's learning too. And there's, a lot of people admitting that this is just painfully clear. And then, of course, all of you in the Facebook world know of Mr. Jeff Bricks, who has, I guess, been going back and forth with this and fighting it internally for a good while. And lately, he's been very in tune with the discussions on Facebook and the 2 debates between Bradley and Miano and myself and Bell, which was more of an exchange rather than a debate. But still, he compared both events, Bradley's and mine, and basically admitted open and honestly that both Bell and Miano took a stomping in these exchanges, and there was actually no chance. So he's actually come out and said that he's IO. So I got word of that a few days ago. I thought that was pretty cool that he's honest enough to actually not only come out and say it, but to say it publicly, and it's caused quite a stir from what I've heard. People's heads are exploding all over his group and on Facebook and also others. So anyhow, that's pretty cool. I did make some poems. This is going to sound funny, but a couple weeks ago or a week ago, I think I was on a flight or something, and I got a little bored, and I started to think of all the trolls in the preterist community, the full preterist community, and the people that I hear of, trying to bash IO the most. And, also clowns that I've interacted with throughout my Facebook tenure as well. And so I started writing these short poems addressing each one of those people. And I think I got about 7 or 8 of the most well-known trolls in these Facebook groups done up nicely with a poem. I got to be in the right mood to share it because it's quite silly. It's quite painful too. I mean, these are like dagger poems. They kind of cut right through you, but some of it's a little silly. So who knows? I may share that soon. I may not. That may be one that just the people with a sense of humor would like to listen to, because all the, high-nosed prudes out there may not approve of some of the content. There was this guy Rhett Hale that I got a article emailed. Debo, come here. That I got an article emailed to me by a couple people asking me to check it out. Yeah, 2 people actually emailed me that article from a guy named Rhett Hale. I guess he's on Facebook. He writes a little bit. And he wrote an article on Israel only, and I began to read it, and a lot of it was good. I mean, there were good points and valid points when he's talking about the history and everything. But then at the very end, he makes what I would call an error, just like most universalists do. And he goes off on sort of a tangent here about like how we're related to this story and how we're related to Christ, and and how we fit in, or I can't really remember. It's been a good while since I read the article, but I could be totally wrong on this, and I'm just, shooting off the hip here, but sorry about that. I just took a phone call. That's part of being a landlord, I guess. I got a washing machine that needs a little work for my first floor tenant. But anyways, enough about that. I was talking about this guy Rhett Hale and his article, and it seems like he makes the same error, in my opinion anyway. Some of you may disagree, but that he sort of takes a universalist approach, and I could be wrong because I don't really remember what his article said exactly, but I just remember it somewhat being like, people knew God before Israel's story, and that may be true, that before Israel was even Israel, people did know God, and people did walk with God in covenant, just like Noah and Abraham. But I just still see that there's more. It's more narrow, it's more exclusive than he's making it. I think he's sort of making this story about all humanity somehow, where I don't see that. I see that there was a very specific and very precise conclusion that came at the end of that story, and it was a salvation of the people. It was a salvation of God's people. He was the God of Israel. So I don't know exactly how much we can really squeeze out of that orange, you know what I mean? Like I always say, the universalists have a tendency to squeeze so much juice out of one single orange. It's like they start squeezing, and before you know it, they have a gallon of orange juice from one orange. And I'm sitting there like, how the heck did they do that? I can't even get 3 drips, or 3 drops. So I appreciated some of his thoughts in the article, but overall I found that the conclusion to me seemed a lot like other people when they try to, go IO but leave the door open for something else and justify it by the Bible and what the Bible says. And that to me is an error. I mean, I leave the door open 100% because I've experienced God or some divine being that heard me in my pain and agony and gave me peace and gave me relief. As I've said before, no, it wasn't the Holy Spirit. There was nothing like that. I was never under the curse of Israel's old covenant law, so it wasn't me being saved. It was just a merciful and loving divine being, whoever that may be, whether it's Yahweh or whoever, that heard my cry and that answered it. And I think a lot of us can relate to that. And but to say that the Bible proves something in that area for us today, I think is just an exaggeration and can't be substantiated. So I like to say, yes, the door is open, and surely I do believe that, based on what I experienced, I believe that there is something else for us, because there was a real spiritual event that took place for me where something, somewhere, somebody heard me and did something about it. Okay, and that to me says enough. All right, so anyways, moving along here, I told you about my poems. Next week I'm going to be meeting up with Michael Barris out in California. I'll be in the LA area for a few nights. That's going to be cool. Last time we met up in LA, a couple months back, we went to this steakhouse and ate like pigs and ate huge steaks the size of my head. And I'm sure we're going to do that again. And we always have some good conversation and good laughs and share a bit of the Bible. So that should be pretty cool. Looking forward to that. Let's see. Yeah, actually, those of you who asked about my grease pics, I know a lot of you had messaged me saying, how can I get pics of your grease trip and all that? Besides Instagram, because I'm not on Facebook anymore, you can actually go to a website, just a basic website called Vimeo.com. And that's V as in Victor, I, M as in Mary, E-O, Vimeo.com. And then you can, in the search section, I think you have to hit people. You have to search by people, but then just type in my name. And if you type in my name there, that'll take you to my page. I think I got like 5 videos on there. And you can check out this latest music video I made of this Greece trip that I just went on. It's about 4 minutes long. And I got a handful of other recent trip music videos in there as well. I like to do these with the GoPro. It's kind of a side hobby that I have, which I've been working on that too. That's kept me busy. Those aren't really easy to make. So there's a video there if you want to check it out. There's also other videos. And, I was thinking about this. I'm like, I got on the GoPro wagon just a few years ago. So I only got, 5 or 6 of my trips on there. Prior to that, I should have got on the GoPro from the beginning because, within a handful of years before that, I took some really cool trips. And I'm a little bit upset that I didn't have video documentation like I do on these other ones. I mean, I went to Bali, Indonesia. I hiked to the top of a mountain there. That was really cool. That would have been a sick video. Sick, for those of you who are wondering, does not mean like flu. It means like really cool video. I also went to Israel when I had that experience. I wanted to do anything I could, so I jumped on a plane to Israel and basically took the tour of all the spots all over Israel. Like Jesus said in Matthew 10, I preached through all the cities of Israel before the Son of Man came. I got baptized in the Jordan River, that water baptism that passed away when the story concluded and all the elect were saved. Yeah, that one. So that was just a really, really cool trip. I mean, even though I know what I know now, I still would love to have that video on film with some cool background music. It was just an epic trip. And so I had that. I actually also went to Corinth, the ruined city of Corinth in Greece years ago, maybe 7 years ago. And I toured that and toured the surrounding areas, and I went into Turkey and went to the ruined city of Ephesus, and I toured that, and that was quite a trip because at the time I was like, yeah, I'm one of these guys, and it was just kind of cool to see these ruined cities and imagine, what was going on. But just unfortunate that I don't have GoPro videos for those videos, because there were quite a few back then that would have looked pretty cool. But anyways, yeah, so I just wanted to reach out, throw a little update out there for you guys, let you know what's going on. Schedule coming up, pretty booked again. I'm working on my yard this weekend. I got another trip out to Cali this week, then straight from Cali to Hawaii for the 8 days, and that's going to be more of a vacation, so I don't plan on doing anything there. Then when I come back, I got another trip lined up, and only 2 trips in June. So June could be the month where I start getting the itch a little bit again and start pumping out some audios. And I may do some here and there, but the memes will still be firing out. I don't know if y'all caught Donald Trump's tweets yesterday, but he was active on Facebook again, and he was just condemning all these wannabe Israelites. And he'll deport you, so do not mess around, all right? He will get you and he will kick you out, and he's building a wall that does not allow futurist, full preterists back into the country. So everybody beware out there. Use caution. Anyways, appreciate you guys listening. Hope you all have a wonderful night. Go Celtics. We took that series and we're about to take LeBron James, the King, down in 6. Mark my words. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.